Hey everybody, how's it going? Dan Shinder here on Drum Talk TV with Drumming Injury Talk with Dr. Nadia. In case you didn't catch that, it's Drumming Injury Talk with Dr. Nadia. Dr. Nadia Azar, how are you coming from in the area of Windsor, Canada, eh?
Yeah, that's right. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. I'm excited to get back in the groove of doing these every month. We took a break for a while and we're kind of back at it. So, folks, if you suffer from any sort of injuries that you believe may be caused from drumming, or even if you're another musician that uses your fingers a lot, and I'm guessing if you're a musician, you probably do, even if you blow through a trumpet, you're working the valves, you're holding things like arthritis, carpal tunnel, tendinitis, shoulder pain, lower back pain, sciatica, knees, joint, all kinds of things. And it's not just age related, it's not just weight related, it's repetitive motions and sometimes lack of stretching, sometimes a poor setup ergonomically, different things like that. Did I miss anything, Nadia, so far?
You mentioned posture, you talked about different injuries. Yeah, repetitive motions,
Yeah.
obviously a big part of drumming can be a
Yeah.
problem, but that's part of the deal. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
It does
managing all
not
of that
include an injury caused by someone hitting you over the head for bad timing. Does
true.
not count. One of the
Does
things I
not.
suffered with for quite a while was arthritis. Getting older, I've been using my hands to play drums, amongst many other things, for 52 years. I should be a lot better. 52 and a half years now. Wow. And I do a lot of gardening. I work with tools. I build stuff. And I do play some other instruments. But my hands were really getting to a point where it was very difficult to twist lids off of jars. And you see me doing this. I'm right-handed, but a lot of things I do ambidextrously. One of those things, other than playing drums, is I twist lids off with my left hand. If I play cards, I deal with my left hand. It's really weird, some things, but it was getting difficult, even some really simple things. And folks, you might notice that the second paragraph of the text in this post mentions this is brought to you by the MetaFlex Therapy Glove. And I want to take a moment and show it to you because it has helped me immensely. I have almost no arthritic pain. And Dr. Nadia is going to talk about what arthritis actually is in a moment, but where'd they go? Oh, I moved them. So these are really cool. They don't only look cool, but they're very comfortable. And basically, it's a compression glove. Nadia's got hers. She just got them yesterday. It's a
Mhm.
compression glove, which also helps with circulation. And what's cool is that, let's say it's, well, coincidentally, this finger. That's the one that has a lot of arthritis. They tend to use that finger a lot, especially when driving. So what I could do is I could take this strap and unhook it, and I can create more tension so that as I squeeze, there's more tension on that finger, and it's basically helping to work out the finger. And you could do it with all your fingers. You could adjust them accordingly to what feels right. So it's to help circulation and build more hand strength. So their tagline is MetaFlex Therapy Glove, get a grip on your hand health. And as a drummer and someone very active with my hands, I gotta tell you, this truly has helped a lot. They feel pretty cool, don't they?
They do feel cool. The resistance of pulling your fingers back is interesting
Yeah,
though,
did
because
you?
it
I see
almost
you
feels like,
tightened yours.
yeah, I did,
Yeah,
because I just wanted to see what it feels like. And it seems like it's almost working against your grip though. But I guess that's the if it's meant for strengthening, then you want the
exactly,
resistance. So it's
exactly.
not,
Yeah,
this isn't like a supportive device
right.
that's like assisting you with grip. It's actually
It's almost more
meant
like
to,
physio.
okay, all
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So talk
That makes
about
sense.
and I've you know what I haven't done. I just want to say I've not played with these on yet, and
Mm.
I've never played drums with gloves on. I know that's some people's thing, and I kind of don't understand it personally, and that's okay. A couple of my favorite drummers play with gloves on. Stuart Copeland, and his gloves look like big clunky gardening gloves. Like I'm not sure what's going out there, Stuart. But Dean Castronova as well. There's quite a few others, but I do want to try playing with these. In fact, I'm giving a lesson tonight, and I think I'm going to do that. But let's talk about arthritis some more. What causes it, Nadia? And what are some of the symptoms? How can you visually recognize it? I could talk about what it feels like, but the stage is all yours right now.
Yeah, so arthritis is an inflammation. Anytime you have the suffix itis after in a word, it means inflammation. So appendicitis, inflamed appendix. Arthritis refers to inflammation of the joint tissues. So inflammation in your joints, basically. So the symptoms are usually like a pain, like a kind of like a burning, persistent, achy pain.
Yes, burning is like it literally feels hot,
Yeah,
like an
yeah,
infection
and
would, kind of.
yeah, and there can be swelling. There
Hmm.
can be, depending on how bad it is, there can be some redness. But yeah, and stiffness. I think
Yeah,
particularly in the morning when you or after long periods of inactivity, depending on which joint it is, when you haven't been moving for a while and your joints kind of, have been in that one position for a
right.
while.
And affected by
Um,
weather sometimes as well, right? Colder
I,
temperatures, or is that more
you
bone
know,
issues?
a lot of people report that. I don't know how, like scientifically, whether that's been actually studied as like weather is a trigger.
Could it just be
Um,
a old wives' tale or a herd mentality?
it could, but it could also be a legitimate thing if it's, I've heard reports of people, particularly on like cold and wet days where it just that like
Oh,
cold, like it seeps into your,
yeah,
seeps into your bones and just kind of,
right.
but I mean, to me, the mental aspects of pain are so intriguing,
Yeah,
and even sensation, not just pain. It Your thoughts around pain and other sensations can have so much influence on it that I don't know if it's actually that cold weather has an actual mechanism for making it worse, or if it's just that people are used to thinking this way and so kind of perceiving it. Like when you think about oh, I don't like needles, I don't like needles, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna hurt. And then you get a needle and it hurts because you've been thinking that it's gonna hurt,
you
you
know
know?
what? So, and by the way, folks, when I'm looking over here, I promise you I'm not watching Dromeo or cartoons. I'm looking at our show so I could see your comments. If you have any of these ailments or have questions about them, please put them in the chat and Dr. Nadia will answer them. But the funny thing about needles is, as you know, it's been a little over 3 years now, I was diagnosed with diabetes. And one of the things that freaked me out the most was, wait a minute, I got to prick my fingers a few times a day. And that just like, because I hate needles. And Anja, my wife, was a nurse for 23 years. She's practically laughing about it. And the first time I pricked my finger, there's literally like a dot of blood on my finger, like you'd get from a ballpoint pen accidentally making a mark. I was getting sweaty and thought I was going to pass out at the table. Ridiculous. The biggest baby on the planet. Eventually, which side? Yeah, eventually I got this. I got my sensor. I don't have to prick myself anymore. I scan it with my phone app and it gives me the reading. It's so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of those things that it's mind over matter or not. When I think of a particular ex-wife, I get a headache. So there you go. Thoughts relating to pain.
Yeah, I'm allergic to shellfish and I do have
Oh,
an EpiPen for it.
a couple of our
And I
kids
used
are.
to, yeah. And I discharged an old one time 'cause you can't just throw them out. You have to discharge the epinephrine. And the size of the needle that came out of that thing, I told Dory, I was like, I hope if I'm ever exposed and need this thing that someone, like, I'm not alone because I would probably just expire.
Oh
Like, I
my
don't think I could
God.
actually stick myself with this thing.
This
I mean,
funny. So one more
maybe
needles.
literally faced with it, I would, but I was same thing. I don't love needles. And I saw the size of that thing. I was like, oh gosh, no,
How big was it?
it was huge. It
Because
like, it's not,
I had an
yeah.
angiogram once, and they had to, folks, they go in through your femoral artery. And so the guy
Mhm.
says, I'm just going to give you a local, okay? And I'm laying on the operation bed, and he grabs this giant chunk of skin and he pulls out this thing from under the table. I swear it looked like a caulking gun. Like, wait a minute. Before you know it, I couldn't believe how big this needle was. It was like out of a cartoon or Frankenstein movie or something. And for someone who has like pretty much a phobia about needles, that freaked me out. It was crazy,
Yeah,
crazy.
like I would say it was like the size of like a number two pencil. Like sometimes you can pull the lead out of it. It
Yeah,
was like the size of the lead of a number two pencil. I was horrified. Maybe
crazy.
they've changed. I haven't needed one in a while, so maybe they're smaller now. But yikes!
That's
Yeah.
crazy. We have a question or comment. Oh,
Okay.
from Alexander Lowe says, "Oh, so Alexander is saying he'd love to know about the supplements I'm taking for arthritis." So funny thing, I'm actually not taking supplements for arthritis. I'm taking supplements, and I'll talk about it real quick. And Dr. Nadia, I don't know if I've told you this or not, but I'm taking supplements actually for nerve pain, for nerve damage, which is different
Mm,
from the arthritis. The
yep.
arthritis was just like Dr. Nadia said, inflamed knuckles. The tissue in my knuckles were swollen, inflamed. In fact, on this hand, there were times where I couldn't even get my ring on and off. The groupie deterrent, which I take off when I play anyways, so I don't get hurt. Another story. But my knuckles were like getting deformed. It was so bad. The glove has helped that. The nerve damage was there from same thing, playing for 52 years and all that stuff. So the supplement I'm taking is called Neurogen, and I'm actually going to have that doctor on, Dr. Michael Fitzmaurice, who's based in Scottsdale, Arizona. He's one of the most sought out hand surgeons in the country. He's a good friend of mine. And when I told him about my issue, he said, well, come on in for an ultrasound. And the first thing he checked was carpal tunnel. And there's minimal shrinkage there. But he showed me a supplement and he said, take these. It's going to work. You might need to take it for a month, but so he gave me a supply of them. I started taking it. The funny thing is, was my wife had left for town for a week or two. Yeah, like 2 weeks the next day. So while she was gone, I noticed that my blood sugar readings, I'd scan it with my phone, dropped tremendously. And I thought, is it because Zenja's gone and I'm not stressed? And she doesn't cause me stress. I was just trying to figure out what's different in my life, you know? And I thought, no, that's crazy. And I'm thinking about my diet. So I called him and I said, hey, by any chance, is that supplement been known to affect blood sugar levels? And he said, oh, yeah, I didn't mention that. That's right. You have diabetes. Yeah, it's also been because of the ingredients. So I looked at the ingredients. I don't have the bottle handy, but it's all natural stuff. Turmeric, all kinds of things. Cinnamon, which has been known to lower blood sugar. I take cinnamon tablets. I put it in my drinks. And that has helped my nerve damage and lowered my blood sugar. Now, my blood sugar will still spike if I cheat. And my regular
Mm,
doctor says, don't kill yourself trying to live. Go ahead and cheat. Have those pizza days, whatever you need to do. But what I've noticed since taking the supplements, it'll spike, but now it'll drop down much quicker,
mm.
which is awesome. So that's the deal on the supplements there. Thank you, Alexander. Appreciate the question. Um,
Yeah,
going
we
back,
were.
yeah.
No, I think this is the same. It's a slightly different name, but I was actually live on Instagram the other day. Just I had the day off, so I'm like, I'm just gonna
Oh,
try this out and see what's
wait,
what.
what is a
But
day off? I need to look this up.
well, I was celebrating sort of my unofficial official first day of sabbatical
Oh, that's
because
right. Congratulations.
yeah,
Yeah,
thank you. But
that's
so it
awesome.
officially started July 1st, but through the summer it doesn't really feel any different than a normal summer
Right,
because you're not teaching anyway. So that's what sabbatical is, relief from teaching and committee work. Well, you
right.
don't do typically that stuff in the summer months anyway. So I said, I'm going to take the first Monday of the semester off because that's a day where I would normally absolutely be at work teaching, probably in a meeting with some committee or something. And so I took Monday off, and I was supposed to float in my pool all day, but it was cold and yucky here. So I went
Uh,
on Instagram Live. And anyway, this is a very long story to say
that's
somebody
okay.
popped on and was asking about supplements.
Oh,
And I think
interesting.
it's this Alexander.
Oh,
But it was,
nice.
like I said, it was a slightly different name from the Instagram account. So,
Funny.
but yeah, we talked about turmeric just
Oh,
briefly, but turmeric and ginger being anti-inflammatory or having anti-inflammatory properties, and things like that being good for joint health or just inflammation in general, lowering systemic inflammation. I'm actually dealing with a hamstring injury that I've had for a couple months now. And so I was asking my chiropractor.
Gotten that kicking ass, right? Around the house there.
in volleyball. I'm still getting sports injuries. And part of me was horrified. And the other part of me was like, I'm still an athlete, kind of.
Yeah.
But so I was asking my chiropractor about like, what can I do to, should I maybe be taking some of these joint supplements like the chondroitin and glucosamine and stuff? And he was saying that the research on those is pretty mixed. It works for some people and not for others. But dietary, anti-inflammatory, like stuff that's like blueberries, not so much cinnamon. I don't think he said cinnamon, but turmeric, and cinnamon helps with the absorption of turmeric.
Interesting.
Yeah. So turmeric and ginger, just any of like incorporating those kinds of foods into your daily life.
Nice.
You can buy supplements too, but I prefer to just add it to my.
Do those ingredients, can they work as preventative maintenance as well? Or do they only work once you have it?
Again, I'm not citing any scientific literature here because I don't know this, like supplements are not my area.
She's actually a doctor of archaeology, by the way, folks. No, just kidding. She's a doctor of kinesiology.
Yeah. So, the nutrition and supplements is not my like specific area of expertise, but being sort of in that general realm, and being pretty cognizant of my own nutrition, there is some pretty good evidence for, when you eat certain foods, it reduces inflammation in your body, or at least doesn't. So like there are foods that promote inflammation, that junk food, essentially, right. So by combating those things, by removing those and adding, lots of leafy greens, lots of blueberries, these different spices that supposedly have these properties, you can actually start to reduce the inflammation. Now, would it prevent? Maybe, but arthritis is one of those things that, there are a few different types of arthritis that have different causes.
Right.
For example,
what's rheumatoid? Yeah. What is the difference?
Rheumatoid arthritis is, from what I understand, more of like a disease process, whereas
rather than from sort of repetitive motion or something.
Yeah. Okay. That's more like osteoarthritis, which comes more from like aging and just a lifetime of wear and tear.
That's me.
So and so like they have similar symptom profiles, but different causes or mechanisms by which they arise. So would those, eating a diet rich in foods that are antioxidant and anti-inflammatory help like prevent you from getting rheumatoid arthritis? I don't know. Might it help with symptom management? Probably. Might it keep it from getting too severe, or especially the osteoarthritis too? Like, would it keep it from progressing and getting too severe? Maybe. It's not really my area.
Okay. Well, I like hearing about a couple things here. I love hearing about the cinnamon because I take a lot of cinnamon. I love hearing about the turmeric because it's not only in those supplements, but I have turmeric powder that I put in my shakes that I make too, whether I make them with the almond milk or the amino acid stuff that I have, along with pure organic beet powder for circulation and the cinnamon powder. However, I thought, so I got this low on my turmeric. So I'm at the store, I'm in the spice section, put it away. And like a week later, I'm reaching for it. I accidentally bought curry powder because the color's very similar. They must have been next to each other. Close. I can read. I don't know what happened there. It was funny. But I love hearing about the blueberries because we buy big bags of blueberries, 4 to 6 at a time, because you know who loves blueberries here? Both our dogs.
Yeah.
We freeze them and we mix them with fresh vegetables, mix them with their kibble. So I've always got blueberries, which is great. Put those in the shakes too. Cool. Let's see. And Alexander is saying to you, "It's me." He says,
it is.
It's called Neurogen. Alex and anybody else, if you look up Neurogen and look up Dr. Michael Fitzmaurice. I think he pronounces it Fitzmaurice, but it's spelled Fitzmaurice. Aurice, like Fitzmaurice, all one word. He's in Scottsdale, Arizona. He does sell it online. I should have brought the bottle in here. Text my wife real quick. But yeah, it's helped the nerve damage a lot and drop my blood sugar. Curious, Alexander Lowe, do you have blood sugar issues or nerve damage? Hun, if you're not busy, can you please bring in my bottle of Neurogen from Michael? Okay. I'm curious.
You need an Alexa.
I know. Yeah, to the robot. My friend Dominique Lee, his robot could just bring it in for me. And then Chris says,
he was asking about the supplements.
oh, interesting. Okay, I'm going to take the mic with me because I know when I get too far, it's hard to hear. So Chris Klunder says, sorry, just got in. What are the supplements? I have peripheral neuropathy. It's look at Alexander's comment below yours. It's called Neurogen. And if my wife got my message, you know what? I'll go get the bottle. Dr. Nadia Azar has plenty to talk about, I'm sure, while I jump up and run down the hall into the kitchen and get the bottle. I'll be right back because it's fascinating how it worked. It started working on my blood sugar before the nerve pain, and then it kicked in the nerve pain. So between the MetaFlex Therapy Glove for the arthritis and the supplement for the nerve pain, my hands are almost back to normal, which is great because, awesome. Yeah, here's my wife. Oh, can you get the Neurogen? The Dr. Michael Fitzmaurice got me. It's in the bottom shelf, and yell hello to Dr. Nadia.
Hi.
Hi,
Anja. I was really backing off playing, and I realized, wow, I'm only playing when I'm giving my Monday night lesson. And I would sometimes feel like playing, but I honestly was afraid to because I didn't want a show to roll around that I'm going to be playing on Drum Talk TV and my hands be too jacked up. But I had to eliminate that and just get past it and say, well, if I was on tour, I would play. I would play through the pain. And so I started playing a little bit more. And recently, last weekend, I played the entire Close to the Edge album live for the 50th anniversary. And a day or two before that, I played for an hour for Neil Peart's memorial birthday. And I felt great. My hands did not hurt during or after. Correction, my hand hurt during the Yes Close to the Edge one because during the little interlude of And You and I was playing the tambourine on my hand, but it's not a tambourine meant for the hand. It's meant to be mounted on the hi-hat spindle, and it has these little nodules at the end for the jingles to not fly off. And I went right into this unfleshy part of my hand and bruised it a little bit. But no nerve damage, no nerve pain, and
That's good.
Arthritis, and it felt great. So now I'm starting to play a little bit more. And I got to tell you, for someone who's loved playing so much my entire life, and especially now, I'm not in a band, I'm not producing, I'm not touring, I'm not doing sessions. I just play for fun, give some lessons, play on our shows. I enjoy it more than ever. And it was really weighing on me emotionally to not be able to play when I felt like it because I was afraid I'd hurt my hands. And I type all day. I'm working in the office, a lot between Drum Talk TV and the marketing company. It's, there's so much of this, but it's been great. It really has. So.
Well, I'm glad to hear that they're getting better and you're able to get back to playing and pain-free. It's I hate to hear that you had this feeling that like you had to play through the pain though, because I know it's a thing that happens and we talk about it a lot about people like, I have to just keep playing. I can't not play. And a lot of times they don't have a choice because they're on tour or whatever it is.
Right.
But it's still, it's sad to think that people don't have the time or feel they don't have the time or the ability to like rest and recover.
Rehabilitate. Absolutely. Rest and rehabilitate.
Yeah. So, but there is like, I know on the flip side of that, the other problem that I've heard talked about is, people, and not just drummers, but musicians will develop an injury, go to a doctor, physio, and they'll say, well, you got to stop playing. And like, that's it. And that's also not an appropriate, not always. Sometimes it is. Sometimes like you just have
it's got to be pretty bad though, right?
I would think so, but again, not a medical doctor here, but if you think about athletes, right? Like an athlete is going to, I mean, they're also notorious for playing through pain and doing all kinds of things that they shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
do.
And they've
But
got a guy on the sideline who, they'll give him cortisone. Here's some Vicodin. I mean, they've got all kinds of,
yeah, which is
fortunately
also
or
maybe not.
unfortunately.
Yeah, but the whole idea is what I'm trying to get at with the athletes and their trainers is the balance. The trainers and doctors who work with athletes who recognize that like unless it's something catastrophic or nearly catastrophic, you can't just tell an athlete like you can't play. You need to
Right.
stop playing. So they modify and they find ways for them to play up to, the point of, okay, this is the threshold. This is where, the tipping point where there's could be a problem. And they help them to like stay active, but modified to the point where like maybe they're sitting out games, but still practicing some elements.
Yeah.
But they're not like stopping completely.
Right.
And I think that's a conversation that, needs to come up more and more in these circles of the healthcare professionals who are dealing with musicians, is that they need to treat it the same way. Is that like
Yeah.
in many cases it's not possible to completely stop. So what can I do to manage it, not make it worse, and still be able to play at least to get through the next month or whatever it is that they're on tour, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like I said, in some cases there's nothing. In some cases like you really need to stop now or you're going to do catastrophic damage in your career.
Right.
It happens.
Hopefully a medium like play the waltz for a while instead of Iron Maiden.
Yeah. Or there's so many different circumstances. I can't sit here and say like this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
Because everyone's touring circumstances are different, and it's hard to give a blanket recommendation.
Yeah, and even
I just
for
think there
drummers,
needs to be more of a conversation.
Yeah, even for drummers like me that are not touring and even not gigging, for casual drummers, so as I get older, I realize how important it is that I do feel good and I'm not banged up. Not because I'm wimpy or anything, but because there's a domino effect. So if my hands hurt from drumming, or I'm sorry, if they hurt from arthritis or nerve pain and it's getting aggravated from drumming, that means it's going to be harder for me to run my two businesses with this. It's going to be much more difficult for me to run with my two dogs and play with them and the toys. It's going to be harder for me to do the stuff I do outside gardening. I build stuff, skill saw, so I had to like think all that through. Like, how much does it matter to me that I play hurt to risk screwing up my hands more, to where all those things are that much more difficult? And for me, it was like, it's not that important to me. I'm going to back off a little bit. I'm going to read a question or comment from somebody. Then I'm going to jump up. Angie couldn't find them. I think she thought I meant bottom shelf in my bathroom, but it's in the kitchen. So Angela Lucia Elizabeth Woodrow, what a formal name. That's a beautiful name. Says, I'm trying to avoid surgery for a rotator cuff injury with physical therapy. The therapy has made my back and neck feel great, but my shoulder is very painful still. The PT keeps changing my exercises. I miss my drums. Any suggestions? And I'll be right back.
All right. So Angela, I'm glad to hear that you're working with a PT on this, a professional who, knows how to rehabilitate these kinds of injuries. If you haven't, it's hard for me to make any kind of suggestion because you've got a medical professional who's putting you through this program, and I would not want to override or anything like that. So what I would say is, have you spoken to your PT about missing your drums and about wanting to play, and talk to them about some strategies that you might be able to try to get back into it. So from your comment, I'm guessing that you're not playing at all. So can you talk to her about, okay, what if I were to play, 5 minutes a day and see how that feels? Or, ask her if they, and I'm sorry, I'm assuming it's a she, if your PT, if they can help work with you to incorporate this back into your day-to-day in a way that's going to be safe for your particular injury and not put any undue stress on it, then that would be ideal.
Yeah, maybe
The
it's a
other
matter
thing,
of expressing how important it is to her to want to be able to play from time to time, once a week, like I was. And
yeah.
I know I don't know which shoulder is it, Angela? And when I was 18, I broke this wrist bone in half, the one that pivots. And my doctor at the time said, you're going to need screws. You'll never play drums again. You should learn how to write and wipe your tush with your left hand, all this stuff. And one day I was moping around the house, my arm in a full cast. My mom says, you look so depressed. Why don't you go play the drums? I just looked at her like, what? She said, just go play. And I thought about it and I went out there and I really worked out my left hand and I played. And then after a while, I was able to see, even if it's restrictive in motion, if there's something you can do, and don't even play with that shoulder or this shoulder, and do what you can with your feet and your hand. You might be surprised how it helps develop those differently and makes you think differently of how and where to play on your kit. I recommend that. Just play without using that.
Yeah, or and again, definitely working with your team to discuss how you might be able to do this safely. Like what should I do beforehand? What should I do after? But maybe there are some things you can do also to your drum setup to make it easier to play. So
That's
for example,
brilliant.
if you've got your cymbals way up here and out here, that's going to be really challenging on your shoulder to be able to do that. So if you bring everything in closer so that most of your motion, your shoulder's not really moving a whole lot and most of it's coming from your wrists and elbows, then that might make it easier for you to do it and get back into it pain-free. Setting up your kit in a way that's going to avoid some of the movements that your PT might say, like, yeah, you really want to avoid doing this or that or the other thing, no matter what activity it is. So we've got everything.
That's a brilliant
close.
suggestion.
Good.
I love that. Yeah.
So talk to your team because they might be able to help you get back into it gradually without overdoing it and without potentially putting yourself at risk of doing more damage. Because that's really the challenge here is you want to be able to get back to playing, but without doing something that might cause additional damage. So good luck. I hope they're able to work with you to come up with something to get you back to playing.
And sorry, I'm not distracted. I'm trying to tag Dr. Michael Fitzmaurice, but it's not coming up. So I'll do that later after the show. In the meantime, let me see if I could tag the page for, and I'll hold up the bottle and show you what this is in a moment. It's been amazing for me. Bear with me. I can't talk and type. That's a great suggestion, though. I'm not sure. Okay, I'll put it in there after the show. In the meantime, this is it. Makes a great shaker, too. So this is what they look like. And he suggests 6 a day. 6 a day. You could tell that. And you could take all 6, 45 minutes in between meals. I usually take all 6 in the morning when I first get up at the zoo. Or you could take 3 in the morning, 3 in the evening. I just take them in the morning usually. And the ingredients are... here we go. Let's see what we got here. Okay, here's a lot of big words that I'm not going to stab at, but I'll tell you this. It does have vitamin D3, B6, B12, and calcium, and most of this stuff is, B12 is 41,667% of your daily allowance, which I love. Some other great numbers here, but some of the other ingredients include, it's got N-acetyl-L-cysteine, acetyl-L-carnitine, HCI, turmeric, extract root, standardized to 95%. Okay, R-alpha lipoic acid. Wow, some other really big words that a drummer is simply not qualified to read. Black pepper extract from the fruit. It's all natural stuff. So yeah, this is what the bottle looks like. I'll see if there's a website on the, where are we? On the bottle. And it has really helped. I wouldn't talk, it's not just because he's a friend of mine, it's because it works. It really, really works. And I'm not getting anything for this. I just want to help people. Where are we here? Is there a website? I know I look stupid with the magnifying glass. Stop laughing, everybody. I don't see the website. I'll get it from him and put it in here. I have it. I just don't want to take time searching. Okay, so Angela also says, I have everything close. Got that advice a long time ago from Peter Chris. Oh, that's some solid advice. Great. And she says, thank you for answering and compliment on my name. It's my right shoulder, and it's kind of a guess. Odds are you're right-handed or right-strengthed, Angela. So that's, do what I did with the arm in the cast. I played, but I just didn't use this for a long time. And then I couldn't help myself. I was like, had to do it. And it was great. It got my head back together. So my mom knew all along that would work, and it did. So you never know. If there's a will, there's a way. I wasn't going to go on tour or do a session, but now that I think of it, I did audition for a band in a full cast. I may have mentioned this story. Yeah, I showed up with all my gear, and my friend Mike Blanco, who took care of my gear for 23 years, showed up, and it's just me. And back then there wasn't that internet. They didn't know what I looked like. Walked in, and everyone went up to Mike with their hands out. Hey, Dan, nice to meet you. And he said, no, I'm Mike. That's Dan. And they looked at me with my cast on, like, you're here to audition? I'm like, yeah. Because by that time, I took my mom's advice. I started playing. I passed the audition. I got in a band called Rendezvous that featured Becky LeBeau, who went on to be a model and an actress. And there you go. And we're still friends. That was 40-something 42 years ago. Wow. I must have been like 3 years old.
I can't in good conscience endorse playing to that level when someone is injured.
Yeah, don't play with your injured appendage. Play with everything else. There's plenty more, even if you just work out your feet.
That is a great suggestion of sitting down at the kit and playing with the uninjured hand and just like noodling around a little.
Same thing with feet. If you're right-footed and it's your right foot that's injured, start practicing your left bass drum abilities. Even if you don't use a double paddle, just do it to strengthen it and make it, even. It's fun too, and it makes you think different. It might come in handy.
Yeah. If you end up having to make any big switches, like the other thing I was going to suggest as a potential, if Angela is right-handed and plays cross-handed, so your right hand is your hi-hat hand, it'd be a real challenge, but learning to play the other way, left-handed, or learning to play open-handed. So that again, you're not doing a lot of movement with the injured shoulder, and that might be one way where you might be able to get back to playing without putting stress on your shoulder that is going to make it worse.
Right.
So yeah,
absolutely.
Talk to your physio, show her the motions, bring your drumsticks to physio and show her.
Oh yeah.
For them, I keep saying her. I went to my own physio this morning, and she's female. So to me, but there are certainly plenty of non-female physios out there. Anyway, yeah, take it with them. Bring old video of you playing so you can show them what your setup looks like, so they can look at it and say, okay, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to move this or that, or, give you suggestions to help you get back on.
Yeah, and see if they can help you work towards a timeline of getting back to normal, back to your routine. And like Dr. Nadia is saying, give you some steps along the way. And who knows, it might help them have an epiphany to put you on a fast track to get you there without it further injuring, what you've got going on there. Anyone else want to chime in on arthritis, bursitis, tendinitis, carpal tunnel, hip weirdness, any joint weirdness, lower back pain, sciatica, anything from repetitive motion of playing drums, or if you're watching your guitar player, God forbid, and maybe you've got something going on with fingers, trigger finger, which is caused typically by nodules on the tendons. I had those. And the glove has helped with that as well. It's amazing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I don't have that hardly ever. Like normally I could not do this. Both those fingers would get stuck. Weird. Now I can move.
Interesting.
Yeah. I should take up accordion again. Anybody feel free to chime in with questions while we've got Dr. Nadia here, because we're only doing this once a month. So I'll check comments. I don't see any new ones.
No, not yet.
Do you have anything new coming up you can talk about yet? A new study or anything?
Nothing really new coming down, but we started collecting data for the drum educator interviews. So
Great.
this was a study that was funded through the Grammy Museum Foundation. So we're interviewing drum instructors who to find out the reasons why they either do or don't teach their students about injury prevention. And so we've already conducted, I think, 12 interviews. We're shooting for 20 to start.
Do you need some more people?
I do. I specifically need drum. And so it's people who have at least 5 years of experience teaching and primarily on the drum set.
Okay.
So it's okay if you teach other percussion, but drum set has to be like your main instrument.
Have you gotten with Jason Gianni yet?
I cannot say whether I have. I can't talk about who. This is a little different. It's more the traditional research study. I can't talk about who I may or may not have been in contact with. I will say this: it has been advertised through the Percussive Arts Society. So anybody who is a member and has drum set and educator in their profile would have gotten a call for participants.
Okay, let me ask you this: do you know Jason Gianni?
I met Jason maybe when I was at the NAMM show with you, or maybe it was at PASIC. I can't remember. But I know I've met him.
Okay. He knows tons of educators that have been educating on drum set for 20, 30 years. I'll connect you two. He'll come up with more people than you need. Yeah, people banging on the door.
So we've had a great response. The only problem, it's not really a problem, but we've already filled, so we're doing 10 interviews with instructors who teach primarily like private lessons at their own studio or at a music school, like a Guitar Center or Drum World or whatever it is. And then I need another 10 that primarily teach in like collegiate or post-secondary music programs. So like a professor of percussion at such and such, like at Berkeley or something to that effect. So right now that's where my recruitment is targeting. I've already got all the private instructors I need, and now I need the ones that teach primarily at high school or
I have someone for you. Yeah.
Okay. I will send you you can send it to him. I can't, again, research ethics thing. I can't reach out to people individually.
That's okay. I'll reach out to him. He teaches high school.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's very well known and he's excellent and he's great. And he's an okay guy. I mean, he's a great guy. He's a great guy too.
Okay. So that's the big thing we've got going right now. Yeah, that's and great. Just trying to push through, continuing to wrap up data collection on some of the other studies, like the hand-arm vibration study.
So this is September. So that means you were here. Was it 4 years ago? Was that 4 years ago?
Yeah, actually, in another week or two. It was end of September. But that was 2018.
Wow. So for those of you who don't know, at the time, Dr. Nadia was doing a study that kind of read two things. One was caloric burn while drummers are playing, and the other was heart rate. And so she came, stayed out here for a few days, and brought all her gizmos, and we did 3 days. If I remember right, the first day was like 45 minutes of Led Zeppelin. The next day was 45 minutes of Rush. And the last day was 45 minutes of mixed classic prog that I played, hooked up to her equipment. And what we did is we had, if I'm remembering correctly, we had fans watching the live chime in and say, okay, Dan's going to play about this long. This is the type of music. The person who guesses closest to his caloric burn for that total set wins whatever it was. I don't remember, maybe my book and a shirt and this and that.
Yeah, and then a few different things.
Yeah, and then people also guessed on the heart rate, if I remember right. And it was fun to do because I was way off. I had no idea. I thought I was burning a lot more calories than I was. So is it because I didn't know what the hell I was talking about or thinking, or might it have been that I was so well conditioned that I wasn't burning off a lot of calories? Because I hardly sweat when I play. I'm not making a joke. I know that sounds myopic and like but I'm in really good aerobic shape and calisthenic shape. I hardly sweat when I play.
Yeah, it could. So I've found a few different things that when I look at energy expenditure, so the devices I use have a few different sensors in them, but one of them that it predominantly relies on is an accelerometer. So it detects motion. And so the more you're moving, which makes sense when you think about the more you move your body, the more energy you burn. So the more these sensors, the more you move while you're wearing these sensors, the more they pick up the motion and the higher the estimate of your energy expenditure. So I've had Todd Sucherman did my study, and he wore the armbands.
Who's that?
What's that?
Who is that?
Some drummer. I don't know.
Sorry.
Todd was awesome. But so Todd wore them during a Styx show, and his heart rate, I mean, if you know anything about how Todd plays, he's very
physical
big on he is, but he's also very big on economizing motion and only
everything. He's wearing his drum kit. He's in it like a fighter pilot cockpit. Yeah.
Yeah, and and his snare drum's way up here, and he's really economical with his motion, and that was reflected in his data. So
nice.
and he also takes great pains to like stay calm while playing, not just playing with a relaxed body.
Well, he
but
smokes
like,
a lot of weed.
Mind, keep his heart rate.
No,
well, that I don't know.
I'm kidding.
But his heart rate was really, really low throughout the whole thing. So, but I mean, if you know Styx's music, it's not low energy music. So.
Right.
It really depends on how you're moving. So if I don't remember what your numbers were. I should go back and look at those.
Yeah.
But it's, if you're not sweating a lot while you're playing, I know you've talked about how you've rearranged your kit and brought things in close. And
there's still this one thing. And every time I hit it, I think of you because I'm thinking if she sees me doing this, it's this, I've got a inverted stacker that's 14 inches and right next to it a 14-inch china. And the stacker's not that bad. Like my reach is about like that. Here, my reach is about like that to it. The china's a little farther. And the stupid thing is the extension that china mount is on off of the stacker thing, it moves a little bit. So if I hit it a few times, it moves like 3 inches farther. And I'm thinking, I've got to fix this or just get in. And I'm always worried you're going to see it and I'm going to get some nasty text or something.
Get the finger wag.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm careful. I am very conscious of it. But the snare thing you mentioned about Todd, I asked him that in one of maybe the most recent interview, which was, probably a year ago now already. He said, what is up with that? It looks so uncomfortable to have it right there. And he explained, if I could reach and get a drumstick real quick. Oh, there's two. Whose are these? Steve Smith. So
nice.
He explained, he plays traditional grip 87% of the time. So he says, if I come down, it's right there. My arms perpendicular or parallel with the floor and with the head of the drum. It's perfect. So I raised my drum maybe that much and lowered my seat as much so that it wouldn't change my legs that much. What a difference that much makes. No pun intended, folks. But for drumming and the position of the snare drum, it was great. And I play match grip most of the time, unless I'm playing big band or swing. Stuff like that works. You got to experiment and mess around with your gear. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I look at how I used to play, that picture's kind of out of the way. I'll get it. Wait till you see this. This is crazy. Okay. So going back in time to 1980, what year were the Olympics in LA? 84. So 84, look how high my drum set was, how high the toms are. Look at the tom mount off the bass drum and my other toms. Look at the snare, how high and tilted it is. I mean, that's crazy. I could never play like that now, but at the time, I don't know what the inspiration was. I think it was honestly very much more like Neil Peart's setup at the time, only even higher. And I'm short, and Alan White, the late great Alan White, has always sat tall, where his femurs were almost on an angle like that. And I'm short, so I sat like that, so the drums were up higher like that. But over time, I've brought everything down and close. My bass drums at an angle the way your feet would normally fall, sitting on a seat as if you had a double bass drum, but I've only got one. It enabled me to lower my front two toms, and then these toms consequently are lower, and it just changed everything. But that one thing over there is just still kind of a reach.
Well, so two things I want to follow up on. So when you talk about like you got to mess with your kit and try different things and see if it works, one thing to go along with that is take photos or videos of like before and after. So you can compare because you want to look to see if it's going to cause additional problems potentially, right? So it might feel good because it's different, but it could be putting you don't want to raise your snare drum and then now you're playing like this. So you need to, you still want to make sure that
then your
wherever
shoulders
you're at,
get jacked up.
Yeah, so you're maybe fixing one problem but creating another. So if you're going to do that, do it and take some video and review it and look at your body and say, okay, well, this looks, funny. And if you're not sure what to look for, there are ergonomists out there who could, you could pay them for an hour's worth of consulting to look at your play. The same way they would evaluate a workstation, they could do this for you to look at, potential problems. And then there was a second thing. You were just saying something, and now the
reach.
One or two rogue pieces.
Yeah.
Do you play them often? Like, is it something that you're hitting a lot?
Not
or is it an accent
lot.
piece?
They're accent pieces for sure. I only use them with certain like progressive rock things that I play for the most part, which is 70% of what I play probably, but I don't play them a lot throughout the song. They're just accent pieces. I might hit them once or 8 to 8 times within one piece, Right. They're very auxiliary, so that I try to rationalize in my head. That's why it's okay that they're, but I don't feel pain. So I figure, okay, I must have it just in the right place, and I must be just delicate enough to not cause pain. But it is like slightly out of reach in a way. I'm just being honest with myself about it.
Yeah, so it's worth looking at how you can bring it in closer. But that's the thing with these pieces, right? Like if it's something you hit, 2 or 3 times in a set, it's probably not the end of the world if you have to reach a little farther for it, because you're not doing it often. You certainly wouldn't want your hi-hats or your ride, something that you're going to play
like
a
in
lot.
This picture, look how high my ride is. That's the ride right there.
Yeah.
And I do see
don't want
people,
that.
What's that?
I said, so you probably don't want that because that's something you're using
still
often.
see people, even on a small 4-piece kit, that for whatever reason their cymbals are up here. Even on a small 4-piece kit. I just asked a pretty well-known player recently how to set up like that. I don't know. By the way, folks, we heard from Dr. Michael Fitzmaurice, and he said, I said, we're talking about you live on Drum Talk TV's Facebook page right now, and then we're going to go in a moment so we can fit this on Instagram. But he says, oh, damn, I'm actually on my way to give a lecture at a retirement community, but I'll have Lauren, that's his fiance, take a look at the page. So in the comments, he gave me the website because I told him I can't find so I put the website to Neurogen that I take in there. In the post is the link to get an immensely discounted price on these fabulous MetaFlex gloves. I'm on the advisory board. We have several professional medical people on the advisory board as well. And this product was created actually by a young lady, Taya Phillips. How you doing with Nick Borrego? who is an engineer, a mechanical engineer, if I remember correctly. And her grandmother was suffering greatly. She couldn't knit. She couldn't do the finite things that just normal day-to-day stuff. So she came up with this. It's been through a few iterations. This, I believe, is the final. And now they're selling them, and you can get in on the crowdfunding campaign and get these at a stupidly reduced price. Like, I argued with them about it. It's so low. But hey, it's their business. I'm just an innocent bystander. But they work. And Nadia, I'd love to get your feedback. Dr. Michael Fitzmaurice now has a pair, eager to get his. Maybe next month is when you and I'll have them on together.
Yeah, like I said, I just literally got the package yesterday. So
Great.
I opened them up and haven't really had a chance to wear them and play around with them. But you sent me that video too. Maybe we should put that information video, the link to the video you sent me in here
yes.
too, so people can look them up.
Yeah, actually, that video is at the link that's in the post. I'll drop that in the comments also, because I know sometimes people don't read. Or Stephen, maybe you could please do that for me. Steve will grab the link that's in the post and just say, get it here. Put that same link in the comments and pin it, please. Cool. Steve Shinder, no relation. No, he's my son, the youngest of our combined 11, is the associate producer, runs everything in the background. Immense help. Drum Talk TV wouldn't be Drum Talk TV without him. Might it be better? I don't know. No, I'm kidding. It wouldn't be what it is without him. Messing with you, Steve. Come on, give me a break. So, Dr. Nadia, any closing words for drummers and or even other musicians, or if you want specifically for drummers, on repetitive motion injuries with playing, what to watch out for, what preventative maintenance, how to correct, how to just be honest with yourself and speak up if you've got a pain, an issue. Don't worry, it doesn't make you a baby or make you weak or less of a woman or a man or a drummer or whatever. There's nothing more important than your health.
Yes, exactly. And I, if I had to pick one thing, I would say don't wait. If you are feeling something that doesn't feel normal to you, not just like, oh, it was a tough show last night, it was really energetic, I'm sore today. That's like a hard workout. That's normal.
Know your body and know the signs, right?
Know your body and know the signs. And if you're noticing something that's not quite right, then get it looked at, because the sooner you do, the sooner you catch it, the easier it is to deal with.
I love that. Just like a relationship
problem. Don't wait till
problem.
it's so bad. Yeah, like anything. Don't wait till it's so bad that you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, don't wait till that thing on your truck or your car is dragging and causing sparks.
Exactly.
If you hear a noise, take it in. Dr. Nadia, thank you so much for joining us. Hang on the line with me for just a moment after we exit. Thank you very much, Stephen Shinder. Thank you very much, Taya Phillips, Nick Borrego, and the people over at MetaFlex Therapy Glove. And thank you, Dr. Michael Fitzmaurice and Lauren, for Neurogen. Folks, this is all about playing healthy so you can enjoy your livelihood for longer periods of time and longer in age. Hey, I'm getting up there in age and I'm doing pretty good. So I don't talk about this a lot, I don't think. Maybe I do more than I think, but I'm going to be 60 soonish. So I want to play into my 70s. So there you go. And play with the grandkids and my doggies and the cat and everything. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for following what we do. And we'll see you soon. Thanks.